I recently had a birthday, and I was thinking, what kind of advice would I give my younger self on this journey to becoming a professional artist? So I'm still on the journey. I haven't reached my goal of being a professional artist yet. And actually, if you're new here, welcome. Thank you for being here. My name is Isabelle, and on this channel, I share my journey to becoming a full-time artist. But I started this journey in late of 2022, so about 4 years ago. And I feel like I've learned a lot. And I think if I were to start this journey now, I would approach things a little bit differently. So 4 years in, this is what advice I would give my younger self. Action brings clarity. So spend a little bit less time planning and researching. Now, of course, you need some amount of planning and researching, like knowing how can you make money as an artist, all the different avenues, what that can look like. But also planning and researching can turn into procrastinating, and you feel like you're doing something, and it can even sometimes feel creative. But at the end of the day, there's nothing's going to give you more progress than actually taking action. And also when it comes to finding a style, the only way that's going to happen is by making art over and over again, and gradually a style will emerge. Like some techniques you like will stick with you, and maybe you're gonna build a visual language. So yeah, don't get lost in the planning stage so much as you're starting on a artist journey. Comparison is a trap. And while that might be obvious, comparing yourself to another artist is really a good way to feel discouraged or deflated. And you have to remember that most of the time you're not really comparing apples to apples anyway, because maybe you're comparing your journey to an artist's journey who's farther along. And also, I think what's important to remember is that you have your own unique perspective that no one else has in the world. You have your own history, experiences, your own lens through which you see the world, which is, of course, reflected into your art. And so you can't really compare that to anybody else's art. Now, it could be useful to follow other artists, say that have a YouTube channel, and see how maybe they're doing some things, and maybe you could feel inspired. You could get some advice from them. But remember to always be yourself. And of course, you don't want to be a copycat. You just want to be you, and know that your journey, even if it feels longer and convoluted than seemingly other artists' journeys are, although you never really know the behind the scenes, just keep going. Do it for fun and drop expectations. So don't make art specifically for content for social media platforms all the time. You need to have that time to experiment and explore in your sketchbooks, whether you decide to share them or not. And I think it's important to cultivate that freedom, that sense of experimentation, and that sort of playtime. And I'm certainly guilty of not doing enough of that. So definitely spend time in your sketchbooks and dropping expectations on what your art should look like, because maybe you'll discover something cool, like a new technique. Something will come up out of this kind of experimentation. Making art for fun also reconnects you to that inner child and to the reason why you are an artist and why you want to express yourself through art. And that's an important thing not to lose sight of. Where you put your attention really matters. Where you put your attention expands. So it's important to focus on the right things. So the right things will depend on your goal, of course, but when it comes to becoming a full-time artist, the right things might look like having a consistent art practice, sharing your work online, perhaps growing that YouTube channel or growing your audience on whatever other social media platform, create connections with others, and also, of course, take care of the business side of things. It's also important not to wait to feel inspired to make art, because as a professional artist, you'll be working on projects with deadlines or commissions, and of course, you might not feel inspired every day. So one thing I like to do, if I don't feel inspired but I have to make art, say when I did for the 100-day project, I would just open my sketchbook and start sketching something, even if that's not my final art piece of the day. Just by sketching something, it kind of loosened things up, and I would start to get focused on the art I wanted to make that day. And on days when you feel distracted, a great question to ask yourself is, what do I want most versus what do I want now? And of course, it's okay to, take a night off and watch a movie or read a book or do something not art related. But it's important to keep track of maybe ongoing distractions that are not taking you in a direction of your goal and dream. And so that's why I think that question is a great reminder to sort of refocus your attention on what actually matters to you. One caveat is it's great to be committed to your goal and your dream, but don't forget to live your life. I've learned that the hard way. Don't forget, to have fun, do other things. I think you'll find it's important to find that balance. And lastly, your worth doesn't depend on other people's opinion of you or your work. You were born worthy, and don't let other people tell you otherwise. People will have opinions about your work, maybe about you as you share your journey online, but don't let that affect you too much, because there's always going to be negative comments here and there, but the majority of people are very kind and supportive and appreciate your work and information you might share. And when someone maybe shares a comment that may seem more negative, it's really just their perspective. Feedback of your work might be actually very useful information. Some people have given me some great advice or helped me look at some of my work with a different lens. Interestingly enough, a lot of the time people will enjoy work of yours that you don't like yourself. I feel that happens a lot. And also, don't get too caught up on algorithms and numbers. Seeing numbers grow is a nice boost to the ego, but it also doesn't define your worth. And it's important to connect with the right people, people who engage with your work, and people who are supportive and who eventually might want to buy your work or work on a project with you, or just, enjoy watching your journey and be very supportive. Thank you so much for watching this video, especially if you watched till the end. I really do appreciate it. In fact, if you did, why don't you put a little sun emoji in the comments to let me know? And also let me know in the comments, did you resonate with some of that advice? Would you give me other advice, or my younger self, would you give her other pieces of advice on this journey to becoming a full-time artist? And yeah, if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, comment, subscribe to my channel. You can also hype the video for the first 7 days after the video is published. And yeah, thank you so much again for being here. I do appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!